So yes, greetings, this is Kal Kat the Kal Katster. And a couple of weeks ago, a site called the Stone Gremlin Productions did a review of the Tina Fey, Amy Poeller movie, SNL movie, Sisters. In their review, they said that, among other things, is that only 40-something people would like this movie. It doesn't make any sense to us. All it is just like, it's Linorama, and it's no jokes, and they'll only like it's only for older people. Well, yeah. They also were confused about where the daughter character was and why they didn't mention that, and among other things, they were kind of going hyperactively throughout the film. Yep, I just saw it. I can confirm that it is one of the dumbest comedies I've ever seen, and I'm in my mid-40s. It's clearly a vanity piece. It's clearly a Mary Sue type of thing where they were like, oh, we're in SNL, so that makes us automatically funny. But they've been doing that for years on SNL. They've been doing that since really the 80s and the Not Ready for Primetime Players. But they were actually funny. They began to become less funny as they got less high. So the Stone Gremlin should appreciate the characters acting high and drunk, because that's totally how all those old classic people did it, like Chevy Chase and Carrie and Martin and everything. But like the movie Neighbors, which is a remake of Neighbors from a while back, with Blue Sheep, there was a remake with that. Like that, there's a party in this one, and like the other party movies that have come out, as well as it's probably originally, like they said in the review, it's a 10-minute sketch. The joke is they're sisters, and one of them's straight and the other's not, about partying. Not straight isn't not straight, not sexual orientation. They're just, one of them's straight and one not. It's not a good movie. It really isn't. I had the money, so I went. I wasn't amused by it. There were like maybe one or two scenes where it was a jump joke, or I was like, okay, yeah, or it's startling humor or gross humor, which was funny, but only because it was gross humor, like the music box scene, which was in the trailer. They fall through the roof, also in the trailer. All the jokes were in the trailer, pretty much. If you've seen that, you've seen the movie. And see Mark Wahlberg with a music box jammed up his butt. Could be funny, but after the fact, not so much. There were some millennials in the theater watching it with me, and they laughed at the jump jokes too. So yeah, but the jokes themselves were not delivered on point. But it seems like they did that on purpose. It seemed like they were like, okay, well, we're going to have a guy in this that tells jokes, but that means it sucks because he's in it and he's telling jokes. But his jokes aren't funny. Ooh, that's the joke. So they apparently don't like regular humor, and they put it in there anyway. So yeah, they had a guy doing Scarface jokes, which is really strange and wasn't funny. And the joke was that he wasn't funny. The ending of this movie, at least, it doesn't end like your typical Will Ferrell movie, or end like your typical Adam Sandler comedy either. There was, it's just, yeah, okay. The premise of the movie is that these two sisters living in Florida. They go down to Florida to their old house, and they Tina Fey and the other girl. They go to their house, and it's being sold. So Tina Fey and Amy Poehler's characters are allegedly sisters. They're put into this story where they're acting off of each other, partly because they produced it and they co-wrote it and they wanted to star in it. like Will Ferrell and Seth Rogen, they should never let these two have their own movie, because when they're put to their own devices in charge of something, like Chevy Chase back in the day, or Eddie Murphy back in the day, or even Chevy Chase and I just said Eddie Murphy, Steve Martin. These guys are not funny on their own. They have to be put in a movie with someone else. Aykroyd was funny on his own. But it's like, yeah, they have to be in the movie with some other people. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. And having some of the other characters there. So, yeah, it wasn't a very good movie. It wasn't, except for one or two jokes in it. The spy movie was a lot more clever than this one. It was... So they basically, their house is for sale, and one of them lies about getting a job, and there's a very uncomfortable Asian joke in it. And then there's, like, they invite the Asian girl to the party anyway, and they decide to throw a party, basically. So, they decide to have this drunken party, and decide to turn into Neighbors crossed with Project X. And neither of which really deserved any kind of sequel or any recognition. Neighbors, the remake, was just, it was okay. There was like one or two funny things in there. But Project X did not deserve anything, so, yeah. And the joke being that they, like, ooh, the drug dealer guy is a tall wrestler dude. Ooh, that's funny. It's like, no, that's not exceptionally funny. It's just there. That's all that is. And the guy who seemed to be playing, if he wasn't, it doesn't matter. He was playing this really obnoxious, there was an obnoxious guy in it, and an obnoxious chick in it, and two lesbian chicks, of course. And the joke was that everybody that was part of their original class was invited, and that they were all over 40. That was the joke. Now, just because you put characters that are over 40 in a movie doesn't necessarily mean it's funny. No, it wasn't all that funny. It wasn't worth it. The cult hit Superstar was funny because she's a fish out of water there, and the same idea, where she's put, funny in some places, where she's like obviously in her 20s and she's at a boarding school for a girl. That's the joke. Tom Hanks playing a little boy, that's the joke. But Amy Poehler and Anna Faris playing themselves, that's not a joke. You're just saying, okay, actresses that are over 40 aren't funny. Great, that's your movie. They're set up into this story, and there they go from there. The parents are, of course, equally sarcastic and extreme. And, of course, their daughter, the daughter of the one lady, she's the smart one. She's the grounded one. I suppose some people might be drawn to it by the idea of siblings having a thing. Ironically, they showed a preview for Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, which looks awful. Even from the trailer, it's like, that'll a joke. But yeah, it's like, ugh. It's like, why? They already did a sequel to that movie, and it wasn't very good. Yeah, now they're just calling it Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. They already had it should be Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Because, yeah, they did a sequel, I thought. But anyway, or a remake or something. It's a sequel. But in this case, yeah, it's like this movie was not appealing to me. It was just there, kills 2 hours, brain cells. It was weird, as they pointed out, that the party lasted too long, and the stuff that happened in it couldn't have happened in the 5 or 6 hours it probably was dark in the movie. But yeah, the party didn't make sense because it was taking place over what seemed like it's supposed to be one night, but clearly the passage of time was skewed by the movie, the premise, and it actually seemed like it was on for weeks. It had to have been at least 2 days, if not 3, in order to pull off all the stuff they did. Have them break through the attic, have them come back and drywall the attic while the party's going on, fix it, then come back and then do the other thing. How did they do they couldn't have done all that. It could not have been done in 5 hours. It just couldn't have. All the stuff that happened was like, and if that was the joke that they can just fix the set anytime they want. Okay, fine. Probably the only funny gag with that one was the penis on the wall, which kept appearing, and the joke being that it was like next to someone's face. That was the joke. Like, ooh, this guy popped in and there's the penis next. Ooh, see, that means he likes penis. It's like, this is supposed to appeal to people? I mean, it's not even juvenile. It's just dumb. So yeah, it sucked. But I just don't know what what they were thinking. What the problem was is what I nailed down to begin with. If they're going to be producer, director, writer, and star, don't let them. Because they're just not funny on their own. Party was too long and not funny, and I know they were getting at the whole idea of them being pathetic for doing lots of drugs and stuff. But that's not exceptionally funny either. Throwing in these little slights like, ooh, that one guy had syphilis or something at the end is like, really? But it's like all these other weird sort of like, oh, isn't it funny that they're being gross? Isn't necessarily humor. That's just someone being an ass. That's not funny, that's just being an ass. That's different. Basically, they were very unlikable characters. So in the end, they really don't learn much except that they learn something. And to finish off the movie, the humor. Humor is not found from just being sarcastic and mean to other people. Yeah, mean jokes and racial jokes and gay jokes and all that stuff are not funny just because, somebody's laughing at someone's expense. Humor is better if it's laughing with somebody. There were moments of that in there. But ultimately it was laughing at somebody. Look at the drug guy. Look at the guy with the thing stuck up his ass. Well, look at those lesbian ladies, because they're lesbians, right? Yeah. It's like that's not funny though. That's what they are, or that's what this person does. Or very typical of Will Ferrell's stuff. I'm surprised he wasn't in it somewhere. But yeah, it's like they needed to have a better script. I thought. Also in pacing, very much Linorama as they were talking about. Yeah, it's like half the jokes weren't jokes. They were just, she's wisecracking. But yeah, Sisters, I'm the youngest of 5, and at least 2 of my sisters were wild, so I totally can relate to that whole wild sister thing. They're rebels and stuff. So, but it still didn't make the movie funny for me. I mean, big deal. Wild sister and the straight-laced other sibling. I was the straight-laced one. Yeah, definitely. So I would have been holding down the fort where everyone else was acting crazy at the party. But yeah, the party wasn't exceptionally interesting at all, but I think that was the joke, that it was going on forever and then it wasn't interesting. See, without a punchline, they just couldn't go with it. It speaks well of the whole movie like that. Like, Diane Wiest's character is the only one that has a decent line in it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hearing Diane Wiest say the drop the F-bomb was pretty funny. But she was always a good actor back in the day. But and was that the guy from Family Ties playing the dad? I think it might have been. I didn't look up anybody. But so it's like, okay. Yeah. It's not even really worth a rental later on to laugh at playing in the background at the back of a party, because it'd be kind of stupid. There you go. There's my review of Sisters. I didn't like it. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It wasn't the worst comedy I've ever seen, because I recognize this 90s style that they're using. It's sort of extreme, but not really, and let's make fun of them for being them. Stuff that isn't funny. So I agree with the review. Oh yeah, and another thing before I go, they were on Stone Gremlins, at least. I don't know about Red Letter Media. I don't think they reviewed it, but Stone Gremlin was complaining about the part where the daughter was allegedly missing and not around. She's not missing. They missed the opening scene, apparently. She actually is totally there. It's just that she's hanging out at the aunt's house. So when the other sister mentions what's going on, it was one of the plot devices in the story. You just have to follow it. It wasn't well orchestrated, but yeah, she was clearly around. She clearly met her mother. She knew where the daughter was going somewhere that was safe. Yeah, it wasn't that she was missing. That was the whole joke of her, like, exaggerating where her daughter was and stuff to make that other lady, like, feel for her. That's all. So yeah, that was part of her strange way of making a joke there. That was a joke, not a very good one. She knew she knew the daughter was safe somewhere. She probably could have guessed it was with her sister, but she didn't, and then she got mad about it at the end. But no, she knew that she was going somewhere, and she wasn't like she was not there. So that was totally obvious in the story. Watching the movie, you just missed it. At the beginning, she meets the mother over the FaceTime or whatever, and the parents. So yeah, that was not really an issue. I don't know why they got on topic about that one. If that was the only nitpick they had for in terms of the plot, there was a lot of other plot holes in it. Literally, people were falling through the plot holes and sinking down into the ground in sinkhole plot holes. Yeah, and that house would have been condemned after they found a sinkhole in front of it. They wouldn't have been able to sell it to the fat guy. But yeah, so clearly they sold it at a very low price because it was messed up. But yes, so yeah, and they're making Neighbors 2. Look for Kal Kat's cameo in Neighbors 2. Just kidding, I wasn't in it.